They are my daughters, and they are probably two of the most amazing mothers I know. And so yeah, so I'm pretty proud of them. And I will just say that I had Ashley's, one of her daughters, when she, right before she turned 2, and then we got them again later, a couple years later, and then we got the baby, and now he's 4. And then it was a couple summers ago we had Sheena's kids, and they have the most amazing kids. They're polite. And I've always told both of these women in our team meetings that there is no possibility to have the kind of kids that they had without being superb and loving and kind people. So they have worked their tail off. It has absolutely zero to do really with us. They have put in, they are the ones that put in all the hard work on the mental health issues, the addiction issues. I mean, our job in comparison is literally nothing. So I give them all the kudos because they're the ones that do the hard work. Okay, who wants to start?
My name is Sheena Delorme. I had, like Jo said, she had both of my kids whenever I was battling addiction. I've battled addiction off and on for a lot of years. And then basically whenever she had them, I was told that, I was scared because I wasn't straightening up. And they had told me that they were thinking of adopting them out. So that really scared me. And after that, I got sober and I got them back. And I've been ever since, I've been trying to do the best that I can to take care of them. It's been struggling sometimes, but I am happy that I was able to straighten up for them because they deserve everything.
I just wanted to say too, Sheena has been going back to college. She is going for addiction counseling. She worked at Heartview for a while, right, and still does occasionally. She's been working. She has a car. She had to get her license again. Or actually, her license for the first time. She said, "I've been driving for a long time. I just don't have my license." I mean, just the phenomenal amount of work that we don't even stop. A lot of this we just take for granted. I mean, she literally had to start from the ground up. And I also want to say a huge support goes out to Kim Stevenson. She was put in touch with Kim for daycare right after the kids had gone home. And Kim has been phenomenal in getting her in touch with resources as far as school and housing and you name it. She has all of that in her bag. I didn't. So she's been a great resource for Sheena. But yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, just give a little background that she's working towards her degree and
yeah, I just wanted to bring up that Kim she's really helped me out a lot. She became one of my really good friends. Me and her talk like all of the time. So I'm really blessed in that way. And then I have Jo and I have a couple other people are my sober supports. But yeah, Jo and Lane really helped me out a lot. And once I seen that my kids were with them, that they were really getting taken care of really good. And then I felt like I could really concentrate on myself and really take care of everything that I was going through so I could be sober and so I could take care of them better.
And I do want to say too, just real quick, I know Sheena has told me in the past too that one of her biggest concerns was because her kids were in care in Devil's Lake with a foster family for about 10 months before they came to us. And the very first team meeting, the foster mom was on and just complained and complained and complained and complained about her daughter. And she's trying to be sober, and all she's hearing is all this negative. And so I think one thing I wanted to say with that is that we really have to be careful as foster parents that even though we're trying to get resources for their children, that we are careful about the verbiage that we're using, because she's listening and thinking that we're attacking her daughter, and which it, felt to her like that, and then she was very concerned about her safety because of what was being said. So that was the one thing I remember you talking about. So, anyway, we'll move on.
Yay.
This is Ashley.
Yep. So I had to write some things down because otherwise I'll really babble. Okay, so my name is Ashley. I have 5 kids, but only 2 of them were with Jo and Lane. Yeah. I've always struggled with mental health, and at the time my daughter first went into care with Jo, I was in a really bad relationship that was pretty bad. And he had went to jail, and that's when I was like kind of trying to help myself but didn't know how to help myself and my kids. So yeah, cry. My mom actually called and reported me and I don't even know if you got her right away. It was a pretty big mess, honestly. And basically, I faked it. I'm gonna be completely honest. The first go around, I told them what they wanted to hear because I was still in a bad relationship, and he was basically saying, you better get her back and do whatever you have to do to get her back. So I basically, like, it's sad to say, but I basically wasn't totally healed myself. Anyways, then the second time was much different. We actually were in Mandan, so I worked with Morton County, and I first would say they are awesome. I had amazing people. Becca, I don't know if anybody knows her. She was my parent aide. She basically helped me budget my money. She took me everywhere I needed to go. She helped me try to get my stuff in a bunch because I was, yeah, I found a counselor. She got me on my meds. I was taking my meds faithfully, actually. And I never really had a problem with addiction or anything. Mostly I would drink, but it was because I was using it as a way to cope with my mental health. So I never really had a problem stopping drinking or anything like that. It was basically I needed help being able to take care of my kids, get out of bed and stuff like that. So I will say that cry some more. The first time when Amaya was in care, I never met Jo. I had no idea who my daughter was with.
There was really a separation created with the county and with us, and Ashley didn't know, and she joked about it, and she said, I creeped you on Facebook, but she came up with Jo Roloff, so she thought I was a chiropractor.
Yeah,
And
Facebooked her because I really wanted to know where she was, but I was always too scared to ask. I was convinced for about 5 months that these people were chiropractors because I've never met them. I never talked to them. I never saw them. I saw Joe one time when my daughter was in Burleigh County, and I don't even know. When I met them, I'm like, oh, you guys are definitely not chiropractors. Like, like what? No, like, because I think Lane told me what he did or something. I don't know. But, and then the second time I got to actually know who my kids were with, so I felt more comfortable being able to focus on myself, like Sheena said. It just made me feel like, okay, my kids are okay now, let me fix myself. Like, she used to write me little notes in the backpacks that, yeah, she would say, feed Elijah one vegetable and one fruit, like, because he was a baby. And it's just little things like that that made me know that she cared about the kids. She never, every time I saw them, their clothes were spotless. I'm like, holy, like, I just knew that they were really cared for. It was just the little things. Their hair was always done, just, and then over the years, she took me in, and my kids still call her mom, Mama Jo. And yeah, I don't know.
I like I said, I guess I can't say it was as much my fault probably with originally too, because I didn't know, I didn't want to cross that line. And so I mean, I do feel bad about the first time and her not getting to know us. And in all fairness, she wasn't with us real long. It was from December till April. So it wasn't a long period of time either. But still, I mean, that is a big regret that the first time around I didn't get to know her better to be able to help provide those services and maybe encourage them to wait a little bit longer, because I think that we returned her too soon for sure. So, but anyway. Anything else? Questions? Yep. Okay, the question is, what were some things that were helpful, whether they be small or big?
I think, like I said, when the first time I had met Joel and Lane, it was kind of a bad situation. Me and my kid's dad were arguing, and I had just gotten out of jail and come back from Minot, and he had a visit with the kids, and I was calling him while I was in jail, and he wasn't telling me that he was seeing the kids or that he was trying to communicate with with the foster parents or anything. Or and I was asking him and encouraging him to. And when I got back, there was all kinds of people at our apartment, and I just start freaking out. And whenever these guys came, that was one of the things that I noticed. Like, that was one of the first times, because I had talked, I had brought the kids out to them, and we had talked just for a few brief minutes. And I just, from right there, whenever they were saying that, as fast as they came and ran and got the kids and stuff, and said that, that they were worried about, that they didn't want anything to happen while they were there and stuff like that. That's what that meant a lot to me, because I knew then that, my kids were in good hands, because at the time I was using and stuff, and I couldn't, take care of them myself. So I was really, really grateful for them. That meant a lot.
And on that occasion too, one of the first things we said to Sheena was, you need to leave. your safety is important too, because she was planning on staying in that domestic that was going on. And it was like, somebody needs to leave here now. So, because I was concerned for her and for Ephraim, their dad. So.
One thing that I liked was that she showed up to every single team meeting and she was honest, but she wasn't quiet. Like she advocated for my kids in a real, like, the first couple of times it was like, oh yeah, I'll just be nice and I'll say I took her to the doctor, I took him, but then towards the end it was like, she was really like, because it had been like, what, 15 months or something, and my son didn't even know me as mom, because she was a baby when, so she started to get more like, okay, Ashley, because like, so that meant a lot. And just she would put Amaya in activities like swimming lessons, just little things that you don't think mean a lot, but it just showed me that she really did care about both of them, not just her, Lane too. Although it takes a lot to get Lane to talk, but I have gotten him to tell me his real feelings in a text message. Not in person yet. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, another thing, this is really random, but one time, this really was like she cared for not just my kids, but me too. I used to have these work shoes. Do you remember those? And I would wear them all the time. It was my only shoes. And I was working at Burger King, and the one sole of the shoe was like hanging off, but I didn't have, like, I just never thought anything of it. And one day I came in to get the kids, and she said, get in the car, we're going to get you new work shoes. And I'm like, what? So it's just like, she didn't have to do that. And I'm not saying you guys have to do that either, but I don't know. Every situation's different. And I just want to say for all the foster moms and dads, you guys are really strong people, because I know how much it might take to be a foster parent, and I could never personally do it, but I'm so glad that so many children have people like you.
Apparently not loud enough. Can you talk about kind of what you and your family went through in terms of, like, you talk about you went, after foster care ended, going and picking up Sheena's kids and the decisions you guys made kind of to go above and beyond. Can you just talk a little bit about that process, or was it just you wearing the pants and saying we're doing it,
Well, and I think that's by the time the kids had gone home, I think that we had a relationship. And I mean, when Sheena moved in, and I know a lot of people in this room actually helped when Sheena moved into her apartment, and donated things for her apartment and things like that. And so I was able to help her move in. And I think I just naturally, I mean, I love being a mom, and I have kids their ages almost. So actually my kids are older than her, but about your age. And so it's easy to kind of fall into that mom role with them. And the fact that at the time, especially, I mean, they didn't have moms that were actively in their lives. So I don't know. I just feel like I loved them at that point, because once you get someone's story, you tend to be able to be more empathetic, and especially when they're working hard, that's the difference too. I mean, I have another mom too that's actually a success story as well, and she has relapsed, but she's working her way back. But I think that when you have somebody standing in front of you and they are really working hard, it makes you want to really work hard. And yeah, and I guess I probably am a more aggressive. She chuckles.
There she is. She's
Yeah.
the aggressive one.
But
She's
I
the
mean,
one. She's
because
the-
Ashley struggles more with mental health issues, I know, and my mother struggled with mental health issues, and I can see her and where she starts, the cracks start coming out, and I will just walk in and say, this doesn't work for me. You know, you open your curtains. You need to, yeah, yeah, and it,
Don't come in my house.
yeah.
Especially that one. But I love them for that. I have that in my own family. Like, I just suffered and suffered and suffered and suffered. So the little things, like, she can tell, okay, something's up. Like, she can talk it out of me, basically. So yeah, that's.
And sometimes it's just a matter of she'll pick up the phone when she's having those stressful times too and call and say, hey, I'm having a bad day. I'm having something going on. And like I said, and with Sheena, it's been really beneficial because, like I say, Kim has been her support a lot in that and has done the same thing. And even though I feel like her mom, I probably don't have as much, I don't do as much with her on that level. Yeah, but I mean, as far as day-to-day involvement, you know, it's, yeah. But I don't know, I think it's just that you do come to, I mean, I've come to just love them like my daughters. And so what would I do for my own kids? And sometimes I'm probably a little aggressive, but sorry. So how do you break through to a relationship to have, well, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, because when you do and listen to that story, you know, that's the hardest part, I think, for some of us, is because we haven't lived that. And once we, I mean, I am so thankful, and I think of myself as having a pretty rough childhood, but I am so thankful that I didn't have either one of these guys as childhood. And there's always somebody that's struggling harder. And for them, I can't say enough at how much work it takes for them. And I mean, Sheena, you know, pretty much grew up in Belcourt, and that's a tough place to grow up, you know, and Ashley grew up kind of unparented and had to be a parent to siblings. So, you know, I think that's the key, is just listening to where they've come from and actually having, and not judging, and having empathy for where they've come from. So, and sometimes that's hard, but like I say, it's easier when you actually have people sitting in front of you that are working and trying, because I've had those that sit in front of me that tell me to F off, you know? So it's harder for me to have a little bit more empathy in that situation.
Yeah. Uh, I think just the way I heard her talking and stuff, and yeah, really I just felt like she wasn't going to judge me because like coming from my side and being, you know, addicted to drugs, I felt like, and this probably does have a lot to do with, you know, drugs, but you feel like you're getting judged. And especially whenever, you know, your kids are taken away and you're, you know, dealing with all this addiction and all the things that you've done, and you feel like very cornered and very judged. And I never got that off of her. It was just more of like a welcoming, like warm feeling. So it got a lot easier for me. Like at first I was like, just like basically like Ashley said, when I had first started, I was just kind of like playing it off like, oh, I'm sober and, you know, this and that. And for months I was doing that. And then whenever it finally came time to where that I really knew that I was going to lose them, then I was like, I have to straighten up, you know. Yeah, it's very easy to. And then like from that point too, it's you have to, like, the person has to take, you know, they have to realize that it's them that's doing it, and they have to want to get clean, because they can sit there and blame everybody they want for days and days, but you know, if they're not willing to put in the work, then it's not going to work. They can sit there on the other side and act like, oh, you know, the foster parents were bad, this and that, but at the end of the day, you know, all you guys are taking care of our kids. So that's something in itself that has to be, you know, they have to appreciate that.
And we've talked about it since then too, is one of the things is, I remember coming to a visit and Sheena came in, and after, I mean, I was literally probably with you 5 minutes maybe at max. And I left, and later I called the social worker. I said she was high. And the social worker's like, no, she wasn't. She was perfectly fine. And we've talked about it now. I'm like, remember that day you did that little craft thing with the kids? You were high that day, right? And she's like, yep. So, I mean, it's kind of being in tune to paying attention to knowing. I knew enough to know she was high. And not that it made, I mean, it wasn't like she was crazy high or anything, but it was enough that I, you know, and I could just tell she was jittery. She was, you know, just different than she had normally been. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, and I would have never went to any of those. I would have never went to any of them like that. But it was, I wanted to see my kids, and I thought, you know, and they think, you know, a lot of addicts think in their heads that some of them act like, you know, they're pitiful, but then others act like you can't tell. When in reality, I look at some of the pictures and some of the stuff that I've done, and it's like anybody could tell.
Anybody else? Uh-oh. Oh, yes, yes. One weekend I was traveling, and we were out of town, and I got a text or a phone call, and that's what precipitated Mary Jo opening curtains. But and I said, I called Mary Jo then, and I said, I got Ashley, and she needs somebody to just come out and check on her. I just need somebody to go make sure it's okay. And so that's when Mary Jo went out, and I think you ended up taking a couple kids that day. And that's the other thing. I mean, I think about that. There's days that I need Lane to walk through the door and I need to walk out the door, you know? And I mean, you understand single parenthood. And so for me too, a lot of it is just saying, you know what, if you're having one of those times where you need somebody just to take your kids, and it doesn't happen as much as I'd like it to happen, because I mean, once again, their kids are awesome. I'd have them 24/7, but yeah, at least I know when it gets to that point that I would hope they knew that they could just call and say, hey, come and help out. I need something. Scrub a toilet or something. I don't know. I do about anything. So.
She does about everything, even scrub a toilet. She would do that if you asked. But yeah, she came out and she came in and she not once said anything that made me feel like I was being judged. She just said, I don't even know what you said. Something.
It's cold in here.
Yeah,
Turn up the heat.
it's dark. Do you need me to take a kid? And I'm like, I don't know what I need. I didn't know what I need. I was having a lot of anxiety and I just didn't know. She's came over to my house before and I will say, don't open that. And a whole pile of laundry will just fall out. But it's like those kinds of things for me are red flags because like for people who don't like to do laundry, like a lot of people don't like to do laundry, but me, I almost need to have to do laundry or I just keep getting myself into a funk. So yeah.
I know I'm gonna walk right over there and open it up, aren't I?
Open that up.
I do have to say, it was one of the things that was really an eye opener for me. And she texted me one day too and said, I never realized how expensive laundry detergent is. Because when I wasn't taking care of my kids, I didn't have to buy it because I wasn't doing laundry. And she said, all of a sudden I'm having to spend all this money on laundry detergent because, and then I know that it's good that I've progressed in the point that I know I have to take care of my kids, and that's part of taking care of my kids. So it's a little.
I know how I went so long without basically not working is because I didn't buy anything. And I'm like, oh, what the heck is this?
Now I have to buy diapers.
Yeah, $400 in groceries.
So the question is, what can we do as foster parents to help you feel more comfortable, parents feel more comfortable when kids come into care with the separation portion?
I think just so like it, I don't know how to explain it, but just reassuring, I guess, basically that, you know, the kids are going to be taken care of well, and that that you support whatever situation it is or whatever they need to do. That for me. And then like I well, I didn't have it, but I wanted it. Like when my kids first got taken, I wanted to talk to them a lot and I wanted to know how they were doing. So I think that would have helped me a lot in the beginning, you know, to know exactly how they were doing and stuff. And just for me, I think that to just like I said, to just, you know, encourage them to get better and stuff, and that their kids are fine where they're at, and that they can take the time then to take care of themselves. That's how I feel I would have been, you know, I would have been okay.
I think a lot of parents need to accept that they need to get better too. That's a huge thing because at first, when your kids get taken from you, if you don't, if the parent doesn't think they're doing something wrong, they're going to be violent or rude towards you because they don't understand. They still haven't accepted the fact that their kid is not going to come back to them until they do get better. So I don't really know. I think I just agree with everything she says because there's no right thing you can say to a parent, especially if the parent is high or whatever. You don't know. Every parent's different. Kids get into foster care for thousands of different reasons. Some parents don't want their kids back, some do. But I don't think there is a right thing you can say to them. I think if you just show up, and for me it was, she just showed up and she just, everything she said, she made me just realize she cares about my kid, and now I'm going to get myself better. Like, she took them to doctor's appointments, she put them in activities, she showed up for visits, she understood the times that I should have called and said, hey, I can't see my kids today because today is not a good day, but instead I've ghosted her. So I guess making sure that the parent knows that if they don't feel like seeing their kids, that it's totally okay. Because I had a time where, remember that? And when I was in Mandan, one of the kids were supposed to come for a visit and I didn't do it. But I never told anybody why. I just ignored everybody. But yeah, and I hid a whole entire pregnancy from them. For 9 months.
After we had her little guy, and so we had the 2 kids, I kept saying to the social worker, is she pregnant? Nope. I keep asking her. She says she's not. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's pregnant.
She knew.
And
But the social worker didn't think I was.
so one day, and this is the resilience, and this is what mental health especially can do, is we had a team meeting, and Mary Jo called me that morning and she said, is there another Ashley in town? And I said, I don't know. She goes, did you read the personal ads? And I was like, I don't get the paper. So she goes, here, let me read this to you. So-and-so gave up a baby for adoption. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that's ours. And we had a team meeting later that day. So I called the social worker and I said, did you know that our Ashley gave a baby for adoption last week? She had the baby on the 2nd of October, gave him up, and this meeting was on the 7th or the 9th of October. She had a cesarean, and she walked into this meeting like nothing had ever happened, and not knowing that any of us in the room knew. And she was a mess. She was a mess that day, and we all knew in the room, but we had decided ahead of time to keep it private until after the meeting. Then the social workers took her and they had their own private conversation. But I just sat in that meeting thinking, how can you, I just can't even fathom that. I just, and the strength it took to even, number one, show up for the team meeting, just going through all this emotional turmoil, just having a cesarean. Yeah. And it was a good decision for the time, and yeah, but it's still a hard decision some days, but yeah. And so, I mean, that's just it. I mean, we don't know. We can sit across the table from a lot of these moms and not even have a clue what they've been going through or what they've gone through, when somebody can hide an entire pregnancy. Yes, yes. When we'd drop off the kids, she'd sit on the couch with a blanket. And I kept saying to the social worker, I'm like, what's going on? She just doesn't get up. And she was hiding her pregnancy. Right, right. Yeah, I definitely knew there was something up. And
Yeah, but I didn't have the comfortableness to feel like I could tell her without, my social worker and everyone being like, oh my goodness, you're pregnant and both of your kids. But then it happened again and again and again
and again.
and then I was so comfortable that she was the first person I ran to and was like, hey, like again.
Needless to say, Lane gave them both the talk.
And then the last one was the one because it was twins, the last one. And I was so scared. And she was just like, she's just supported me, but I never had to hide a pregnancy again.
It was like, well, okay, we'd send her pictures of the big vans, like they transport vans.
Yeah, the 13 passenger cargo vans or whatever they're called. And Lane would go, I found you a new van on Bizman. Ha ha ha.
But we wouldn't give any of them back. She's got 5 in the house right now, and they're all super sweet kids. So. She's very fertile. Let's just put it that way. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I also helped her, or I didn't help her, but she's sending me snaps all the way into the hospital. I'm going in. I'm like,
I'm on the table.
Everything's done. Woohoo! Let's have a party.
Yeah.
Too much information, I know. I'm sorry,
No,
but.
it's okay.
Anyone else?
So, kind of my aha sitting here. I'm going to sit back down because I don't stand well. And sorry for all the foster dads or dads in the room because this is more towards moms, but that it really doesn't matter who you are as a mom, like the support you need when you feel overwhelmed. Like that's what I'm hearing. Like, Jo, you provided that support when they were overwhelmed so that they could take care of themselves, and how important that is as moms, as foster moms, to help, whether it's to help a birth parent out or to help another foster mom out. Like that just really was like the resounding thing I heard, that because, and it's Ashley, right? Like I am also the person that if you open my laundry room door, like it's going to scare you all. And like that, you know, that we have to figure out a way to better help moms. Oh my gosh, you're hired, Jo. So, and I don't quite know how to articulate it without like, I mean that in the most like sincere, positive way, that I think just as moms sometimes recognizing that. So whether it's with your foster kiddos, birth parents, or your neighbor mom, or someone you see in a grocery store struggling who maybe is going to be that mom someday who loses her kids, like what role do we have in helping moms? Again, sorry, dads. But I just think that it's true that there is a feeling as a mom that you have to be perfect and take it all on and do everything exactly right. And so huge kudos to you ladies for the amazing work you did to get your kids back, and to Jo for being an awesome support. And Lane.
He's done a lot of vehicles.
I mean, he's very supportive, don't get me wrong. If Jo doesn't answer, you can call him. He will answer. He won't sit there and talk to you for 4 hours, and he might not say the same things you want to hear, but he'll at least listen. And then he'll go, you know, Jo's good at that talking thing.
He's talked you off the ledge with your vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, and he really does care too, so make sure that Lane is acknowledged.
Well, he's the one that took her fiance now, but out onto the deck. And when we found out that she was pregnant with his first, and he did, and he sat down and he said, you know, she's my daughter, and you will not hurt her or her children. And he said, I don't care if this doesn't work out, but these kids are the most important thing, and you won't hurt her or her kids. And we got a yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And But you know, I mean, I think that's it too. I mean, when you say that about moms, because I always think about that too. I mean, I had postpartum depression really bad with my kids, and just being able to, I think that's kind of too where the empathy comes from, is because when you're in those situations and you're overwhelmed and you you realize what's important. And like I said, I would have given anything for somebody just to say, let me take that baby for a couple hours, or you know so just remembering when you've been in those shoes on your own terms what it's like, and then to have everything else on top of it. And yeah.
Even Mary Jo, she will offer to take the kids for even 2 hours, and it helps me so much. She just will text and be like, want me to take a kid? And I'll be like, sure, which one? And she literally doesn't care, but I usually give her the baby because she likes to snuggle the baby. But anyways, yeah.
I still have 2 years to go. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and also another thing I wanted to say too was that um besides Joe and Lane, all the love and support I got from them, Kim Stevenson, she's a really big support too. And I've never felt judged or anything from her, like right off the bat. She's told me the same thing that these guys told me. If you're trying, I'll do everything I can to help you, and she has. So like she was saying, just the support, and just the openness to like realize that, I mean, we're humans and we make mistakes, but we're trying to or we've tried and we're still trying to, make our kids' lives better.
One of the things I've had in the past, just real quick, when because I'm thinking cultural things, and Sheena and I have had a lot of conversations, and actually she's been my biggest support with my little guy and the things that I want for him. And I mean, he's her auntie, and that's going to be forever. And I just feel like too is listening to that side of it, because even with him sometimes, because I haven't had the mom real involved, being able to have those conversations with her to say, what do I do here? Or, is there something that I should be, tell me the story here, or tell me, some of that cultural stuff. So it's a give and take. It's a give and take relationship. And like I said, I'm absolutely in love with both of these women. And just because of who they are and how far they've come and how much they work every single day. And yeah, they're mine forever and ever, whether they like me coming in or not.
Thank you guys so much for sharing tonight, for being brave. Yeah, and being vulnerable with us. I think it's super encouraging just to hear your stories. And yeah, I know I'm walking away with some great nuggets for my interactions right now with the mom of the 4 kids I have at my house. And so, yeah, my brain's going. So thank you for sharing.